The wanderer-in-chief and billionaire Elon Musk has continued his venture of inventive ideas on how to make the world better. I know you all want to hear about his insane idea to invent underground transport with the Boring Company for the most insane Hyperloop ever. This is exactly how Elon Musk intends to make his presence known all around the world, and we need people like him. Let me share with you another of the Boring Company's plans to build us a true electrified 6-car Hyperloop. Back in 2013, Elon Musk put forth the idea that it could be as easy as an air hockey table inside a tube. As the decade progressed, various companies tried to bring that idea to life, with varying degrees of success. It appears that out of nowhere, both Elon Musk and his Boring Company are promising a full-scale Hyperloop test in 2022. So, what is a Hyperloop exactly? I've heard opinions ranging from stupid pipe dreams to the future of transportation. Since no Hyperloop system has yet been created, there is still a possibility for either outcome. Therefore, let's find out what the problem is with the Hyperloop and whether Elon can do it, or if the haters are right. Let's begin with the much revered and refuted Hyperloop Alpha white paper by Elon Musk. This was Elon's 2013 illustration for his super high-speed train in a low-pressure tunnel on Tesla's website. It was at the time he was extremely unhappy that California had approved construction of a new high-speed bullet train that was among the slowest and most expensive of all high-speed lines. Then, Elon decided he should create a better method and show them how to do it. Is it possible to build a fifth mode of transportation? We already have aircraft, trains, automobiles, and boats. Elon Musk, in 2013, though he knew the answer to what comes next, it may be true that Elon is the first to name this design Hyperloop, but he is far from the first to come up with the idea. As far as I know, high-speed trains in sealed tubes date back to the late 1800s. For instance, the Beach Pneumatic Transit System was a short-lived test project in New York City in 1870. These worked similarly to those old pneumatic tubes that used to be used to send written messages in office buildings. Over time, the carriage is forced through the tube at a high speed, like a spitball shooting through a straw. The column of high-velocity air would be too frictional with the tube's interior to be feasible for a large-scale human transit system, as Elon made clear in his white paper. Further, the modern Hyperloop works the other way around, and there is no pressure in the tube, so the capsule can move forward without any resistance. Elon Musk says that while it's easier to think of Hyperloop as a tube filled with vacuum, it would be very difficult to maintain a real vacuum over hundreds of miles. There may be hundreds of station gateways and perhaps thousands of pods moving through. Thus, they must keep the pressure to a minimum while still maintaining sustainability. Consequently, there is still a considerable amount of air in the tube, which causes a second issue. The Kantrowitz limit is the consequence of this. During transit through a tube with air still inside it and a transit capsule moving at a high speed, a certain distance needs to be maintained between the transit capsule and the tube walls. In the case where the gap is too small, the capsule behaves like a plunger moving through a syringe. It would end up pushing the entire column of air that's in front of it through the tube, and that won't be good. Thus, you either need a slow-moving capsule or a giant tube that can accommodate the capsule vial so that you do not create a syringe. In this case, the air hockey table can be helpful. In Elon's solution, a high-pressure airflow would be transported from the front of the capsule to the back via a fast-moving electric compressor fan. Similarly, this excess air pressure would make the suspension system low friction. This is what we call an air bearing, and it works the same way the puck on an air hockey table floats around. However, in this case, the puck, or capsule, would create its air cushion. Making the tube as simple and inexpensive as possible is essential. Likewise, a Tesla vehicle would consist of a large battery pack to drive the compressor fan. Similar to Tesla, the Hyperloop uses electric motors as well. To launch the capsules to high subsonic speeds, a linear induction motor is embedded in the track. The capsule then would pass over a different motor every 70 miles to refuel, and there would only be a linear motor embedded in about 1% of the entire track, according to Elon. Despite this, the tube is by far the most expensive part of the whole package. Then, in 2013, Elon assumed the cost of a tube Connecting Los Angeles to San Francisco would be several $billions. With today's currency, factoring inflation, supply chains, and all the other issues, would cost an estimated tens of billions of dollars. Even if Elon Musk didn't have it, he could probably have built a Hyperloop tunnel for the same price he's raising to buy Twitter.com. And things have gotten freaky lately. Our goal is to prove the use of a Hyperloop capsule to travel at near the speed of sound instead of a jet aircraft will be both more economical and more environmentally friendly in the long run. And it sounds like a brilliant idea. Even if we were to say exactly what we just said, we do not yet know if it is technically possible. Despite this, several companies have attempted to create their Hyperloops. Our knowledge of no Hyperloop systems in operation anywhere in the world is what we said. Moreover, he openly invited other companies to attempt to realize his ideas when he published the white paper. As Tesla made no money at the time and would not for years to come, Elon knew he was not going to be able to build the car himself. Although many business people came forward, Sir Richard Branson and his Virgin Group ranked as the highest profile. Rather, Branson simply bought out a smaller company called Hyperloop Technologies, which was started by Elon Musk's friend and a former engineer at SpaceX. In any event, the Virgin Hyperloop promised a fast, comfortable, and safe transit solution that prioritized sustainability, the same thing Elon Musk promised in the white paper. In the Virgin Hyperloop, the biggest difference is that they dropped the air hockey table concept in favor of magnetic levitation. Virgin Hyperloop announced in early 2022 that they had fired half of their staff and would no longer be using the Hyperloop for people transportation, but would only be using it to move cargo instead, as a result of the global supply chain issues. Virgin says this change in direction. So, here's where we run to Elon Musk and his Boring Company. In about 2 months following Virgin's announcement that the company was giving up on the Hyperloop plan, Elon hinted that he would stick to his promise. In the beginning, the Boring Company announced it had secured over $675 million in new funding to expand its infrastructure efforts. During its Series C funding round, the company brought in a series of investors who pushed its value up to $5.7 billion. Following the funding announcement, Elon Musk tweeted, "In the coming years, Boring Company will attempt to build a working Hyperloop. From a known physics standpoint, this is the fastest possible way of getting from one city center to another for distances less than 2,000 miles. Starship is faster for longer journeys." Currently, Elon Musk often says things on Twitter that are completely unfounded. This time, however, the Boring Company's official Twitter account replied with an even bigger announcement saying, "Hyperloop testing at full scale begins later this year." Why would that be a case? Thus, it appears that the Boring Company system will be very comparable to what the Virgin Hyperloop had in 2017, and this is a full-size test tube with a functional pod. Despite this, the Boring Company has a long way to go before it can compete with the now-failed Virgin project. But it remains just the second fully operational Hyperloop on Earth. What a feat! It's not even clear whether the Boring Company is still using Elon's old white paper or if they have designed something entirely new. Would the Boring capsule still deploy the air hockey method? Do they use magnets instead? How do we build and operate a real working Hyperloop instead of wasting time on technical details? It's an infrastructure project which has not been done before. We'll just have to trust that after spending tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars to build this thing, it works as supposed to. It's not the kind of thing politicians will gamble taxpayer money on when it comes to securing government-issue infrastructure funding. That is also not what most taxpayers want to see. That leaves us in a bind. By self-funding their small loop projects up front, the Boring Company so far has avoided this issue. For the Las Vegas Strip Loop, the Boring Company is paying for all construction and tunneling themselves, and there is no funding from Nevada taxpayers or Vegas taxpayers. In turn, the Boring Company keeps most of the fare proceeds collected from riders going forward. This is the complete opposite of how most public transit projects work. Typically, a municipality pays a contractor a large sum of money to build a subway or a railway, and then recoups that money by charging fares to passengers. In similar circumstances, the first real Hyperloop might be built. With this, Elon may be able to get shovels in the ground within a week if he can make the right offer to the right king or dictator. It would be a plan, not an ethical one. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe with a post notification so you don't miss out on Tesla Era.